Elizabeth Ann French. I will be 97 next month. I was born 6 weeks after my 2-year-old sister had died, so that had an effect on my mother. She was always very possessive, you know. I was a very spoilt little girl, I think. I had a sister who was nearly 10 years older than me, so that again was a big difference. She was leaving school as I was starting, and we moved when I was 7. That possibly made a difference at the schools I went to, and changing school at that time, because I could read when I was 7. I'd left the infants and they put me in the junior school, and so that all my school life I was always the youngest in the class. So I wish I wasn't. I would have left school later. I possibly would have got called up during the war, or my life might have been completely different. But they're these little things that affect your life. My father was in World War One. Luckily he was a civil servant, so he went into the civil service at 16 and retired at 63 or something, so he was in the same job all his life. My mother never went to work. She looked after her, she was 1 of 7, she looked after her siblings when their mother had died. And so she never actually had an outside job. She looked after them, and then she married and she looked after the family here. And plus, I think she kept an eye on her siblings too, because I think one of my aunts lived with us for a while when I was a child. Again, being so young, I was the youngest in the whole family. My 2 cousins, I only had 2 cousins, were older than me. And so, as I said, I was spoiled. Because I was, little Betty. I used to call Betty. I was Betty when I was a little girl. One time I wanted to write books, and then it became wanting to illustrate books. And then I realised I didn't draw all that well, so I became a pattern maker. Midlife crisis, if you like. I came to Australia on my own in 1967, when I was 40, getting on for 42, yes. No, I don't know really. I think I just had a relationship breakup. Maybe that was the start of it, yeah. I got a job here. I was a teacher, so, they were looking for teachers in Tasmania. And so I applied and I got the job. So I went to teach in Tasmania in August 67. I was an art teacher, and I would rather have gone to Canada, I think. Certainly looking back on it, I would rather have gone to Canada, but no, so okay, I arrived in Devonport, Tasmania. August the 7th, I think it was, 1967, yeah. I often wish I'd gone to Canada. I was offered a job in New Zealand, but the pay was it was less than I was getting here. Mind you, there wasn't much difference in the pay, but And once I came here, because I was older than most of the other art teachers, I got fairly rapid promotion, so that was good. I started off as an art teacher. I became a deputy head, and then I became the education officer, schools, Department of Public and Consumer Affairs. That's where I was when I retired at 55. Oh yes, well, that's another long story. Because of my timing, I always went through school younger than most of my class, anyhow. So when I left school in 1941, I went to art school. And I was at art school for 3 years, and then I got an entrance to the Royal College of Art. But unfortunately, when I finished there in 1947, I trained as a textile designer. I was specialised in textiles. It was austerity in Britain, and they didn't want any textile designers. So I was considered a graduate, so I fell into teaching. It paid well, holidays were good. But I never really liked it still. I continued doing it for a while. I've always been, and in fact, again in my last year at school, I gave up science and did extra art. No, I've never married. This is the thing. Never married. I've had several relationships, but no children. Well, when we had a phone, the telephone was something that was on the wall, or you went down to the phone box. Or if you had a phone. I mean, we didn't have a phone living in London until I was 9. And so, it's a big difference. I think shopping has changed. We went round with our shopping baskets to different stores. It certainly has changed a lot. We didn't fly. I was the first person in the family to have a car. You had buses and things. You went on the train. I remember too, when we went away as a family, we used to send the luggage on in advance. Take it, sort of. I think about the past a lot and the differences now. I gather in Australia too that ladies never went shopping without putting a hat on. It's silly things like that. I can never remember my mother. I can't remember my mother ever going out anywhere outside the house without putting a hat on. Strangely enough, after I retired, I went back to doing my own artwork, and I was quite successful. I was then doing digital prints, and so I sold quite a few. So that was an achievement, I suppose. I achieved in that respect. So you notice several of the door signs are ones that I've done. That was very pleasing. Those things are my early work, very early work when I was at college. Don't get carried away by the wrong ideas, by Facebook and things like that. That's the danger. That's the danger. I've got a friend whose daughter is convinced that everything she reads on Facebook is true. No, COVID is not. No, you don't worry about COVID. It's it's all by this. No, but be careful of digital stuff. I think that is a big danger. And I think that's it. Beware of digitisation. The doctor actually suggested that I came into here because his father was in here. I had to look around to see what it's like before I applied. I was impressed, and they just won the best aged care home in South Australia that year, so they're pretty good. They look after us. I've been in here nearly 3 years now.